Okay. I don't know what's happening right now, but
It looks like it's supposed to be live, but I'm not seeing it live. So
redirecting to
wonderful,
Facebook.
guys. There you are, and
We
in
are
your
live.
town.
Okay.
Are we live? I don't see us live.
We are totally live. This is just weird. Hi everyone. So we have some crazy stuff going on. I can't even explain it. I'm not even going to try because now all my controls for the video are totally gone, but I see us live. So
Colleen is no longer in control. Is that exciting or what? That person over there with the good lighting is Colleen Lloyd Roberts from Monkeys and Hats. And she's the technical brains behind this outfit. And my name is Kate Holmes from Too Good to Be Through. I'm coming to you from Sarasota, Florida, which is fortunately out of the range of the hurricane right now. And Colleen are they saying that you're going to get the hurricane?
I don't know if we're going to get the hurricane or not. I'm not sure. I haven't really seen the latest on that.
Well, let's get started. For those of you who are joining us on live, we're going to be talking today about operations manuals, why you need them, why it's something that you might have neglected, that you think you can get along without, but you'll be amazed at how much better you can get along with, what to put in your operations manual, how to do your operations manual. And if you hang on long enough, we'll get to the final tip, which is something that will help you get started. If you have neglected this, sounds like a real big job, but it really is not that bad. So Colleen, let's start with why shops really can profit from having an operations manual in their shop.
Okay, well, an operations manual is really, really important because it actually is how your shop works and how your shop runs. And so you as an owner, if you actually take the time to sit down and write out, this is how you open the shop, this is how you close the shop, this is how you do intake, this is how, if you take the time, and it can be a lot of time, but at the end of the day, if you have a well-written operations manual, you should be able to step out of your store and actually have someone else be able to step in, read your book, read your manual, and be able to operate your store in your absence.
It's especially important to have an operations manual for a retail store because, as we all know, various people come in and ask random questions or have random concerns. There's a lot going on in any kind of retail store. You probably deal with anywhere from 50 to 500 individual people coming into your store every day. So having an operations manual will help your staff deal with that. It's also a wonderful, wonderful tool for training new staff and for training staff that has already been around to accept a new position, accept a promotion, accept a bilateral move to a different position in your store without having to start from scratch every time. And of course, a operations manual also serves as a quick refresher for the staff that has been with you, whether they've been with you for a few months or a few years, as to, this is how this is ideally done. But to me, the most important part of an operations manual is it forces you to stop and think about, okay, let me say this in clear, precise language. How do we do this and that? Why do we do this and that? And what happens if this and that doesn't work? Also, being in print and being standardized and being agreed to makes your policies and your procedures and even the step-by-step things like opening the shop in the morning, closing the shop at night, putting them into print makes them more standardized. There's no arguing about it. No one can say, well, you didn't tell me that I need to take out the garbage before I close the store. So all of that is really, really important as to why you need an operations manual. So let's talk about what you would include in your operations manual. And this, you might want to grab a paper and a pencil. Colleen, I'm sure you have a long list of things to include.
I just before we get into that end of what we're going to talk about next, I just want to sort of add on to what you said, Kate, in that, in my opinion, the operations manual really brings about a sense of consistency. And I think that staff really, really needs consistency. I think at some point we all need consistency, but it really does prevent I think of the telephone game, right? Remember that telephone game we played when we were like little kids, and one person says one thing and then you tell another and you tell another and you go around the circle, and by the end of the thing it's like completely a different sentence or phrase than what it started. And I think that that can happen over time with operations and with the way things are done, and it's like, oh, we always do them this way, and then it gets altered a little bit and a little bit and a little bit. And so when you have an operations manual, like that doesn't happen. It's just that good consistency of this is how we want to do things. The other thing that I see a lot when I go into some stores is that some change needs to be made or something needs to be updated. And so the store owner will pass that along to the staff or the managers that are in the store that day. And then again, the telephone game comes into play because they're responsible for passing that information on to the other staff that's not there. But when you put as an owner, if you want to make something new or change something, if you go right to your operations manual, and if you have a system of posting new things in the front of the book, or however you do it, and then feeding them in and making sure your staff signs off on it, you have more consistency so that when you change things, you know that change is going to be carried out and that everybody understands it. And I just want to give a shout out. It looks like we have Jennifer Harrison watching. Hi, Jennifer, and Katie Hansen. Jennifer is my local consignment store. I actually have some clothing to bring into you, but shout out to them. And so if you're watching, definitely post below. Let us know that you're watching, and let us know if you have any questions or input. So, all right, so take it away, Kate. Jump us off with that.
Okay, I hope everybody's gotten their paper and pencil ready, or that they'll rewind to this point, because there's a lot of things that you can, should, might want to include in your operations manual. And the first thing, of course, is procedures, how things are done. Everything from how you open in the morning, how you greet a customer, how the racks are arranged, what happens if XYZ happens. All of that's step-by-step information. Even your store cleaning checklist can be in your operations manual. So that's procedures. And then there's policies. Why we do what we do, how we do what we do, a customer service. Especially important to include under customer service in your operations manual nowadays is to explain to your staffers how you protect customers' information. Data protection is a hot topic nowadays, and you want to be sure that your staff understands that they do not tell a customer that consignor number 234 is Jennifer Jones. You don't do that. That is something that's obvious to you and me. It may not be obvious to your staff. So procedures, policies. Another topic might be in your operations manual, your actual store design. You know, what goes on two ways? How wide should the aisles be? If you're moving racks around, how much space should you leave so that customers can get in there? If you're writing a temporary sign, what do you use? How do you write it? Things of that sort. The music played, what's on display, all of that kind of a thing is important in your operations manual. Colleen, am I going to skipping things that you wanted to say something about?
No, I think you're right on target. I mean, it's really just, it's a book. It's a manual about how you run your business and how you would like to have things done. And of course, it shouldn't be written so rigidly that it does doesn't leave for creativity. But the whole idea is that at any given time, again, anyone can go to the manual, open it up and say, well, right now, this is the senior policy. This is the, there hasn't been a revision of this page or how we do things. And so right now, this is how we do it. And it just really takes the guesswork out. So I also think including things like frequently asked questions or how to handle difficult customers. So if you kind of take a look at your store and think about what are some of the comments and things like in the fitting rooms, maybe ideas about how to talk with customers in the fitting rooms. What are some great acceptable phrases? What are some great acceptable words to use when dealing with customers in the fitting rooms, when dealing with customers in intake, and when dealing with customers during the checkout procedure? So that, again, it's like, this is your baby, and being able to share how you would like to hear your customers talk to is really important. And this is a great place to put that. And it's nice too, because if someone comes in and is having a bad day, like, it happens, but they can come and maybe they just need a little refresher on, talking nicely to customers or handling difficult customers or something. It's just a nice little refresher that it's there in a nice manual.
You'll be amazed when you start doing this at how much knowledge is in your brain and how much you can communicate with people. We've talked about policies and procedures and the feel, the look, the design of the store, but there's also internal controls. When is money deposited in the bank? What happens if there's shoplifting? What happens if you think there's internal theft? Things of that sort. Employee guidelines, how do they ask for time off? Do you give them time off? Do they get their birthday off with pay? What happens if they want to reschedule and they want to switch with somebody? How to use all of the equipment from your computer to your vacuum cleaner. Emergency procedures. What happens if somebody trips and falls? What happens then? All of these things that need to be put down on paper for people to read. What if something happens? What if the parking lot's a mess? Who's in charge of going out and cleaning up the parking lot? I mean, it's obvious that you as an owner, you want a clean parking lot, but it's not going to be obvious to that part-timer that she needs to get out there and clean up that parking lot because somebody dumped their ashtray in it. Whatever. Another really, really important thing to do as you're writing your manual is to keep a log, to keep a lookout table, to keep a table of contents or an index, however you want to arrange it, so that things are easily looked up. And that would be the first page, I think, in your operations manual. What happens if somebody trips and falls? What happens if the front door is broken? What happens if you can't get a hold of the owner to ask her a question? All of those things need to be probably the first page in your manual. Colleen, before I go on to the actual how-tos about writing a manual, did I miss something that you wanted to say something about?
I don't think so. I think that was like a really thorough description. I like the idea of having multiple indexing for your manual, because your manual will get really thick over time. And I'm thinking of some manuals that I have and use personally, and there's several different ways to reference the information or look up the information. So I think that having your manual indexed in a couple different ways. And the other thing is that any form that you use within your store, whether it's an intake form for customers or whether it's a vacation request form for your staff, like just copies of all those forms should be in your operations manual as well. That way, if you keep those forms in some other location and you run out, anyone can go to the operations manual, grab the form and make some copies of it and have them available. There's no excuses for like, oh, we ran out of forms or we couldn't find any more forms. And so some of the forms, maybe you might want to choose to keep them in like a protective sheath, and so that people can just pull it out of the sheath and run a clear copy of it if it's needed. But pretty much everything you utilize for your business, a copy of that should be in your operations handbook.
So now we come to the fun part, okay? The fun part is shopping for school supplies. We all love to do that. So the first thing you do is you get a three ring binder, three rings, and make it a fat one because you're gonna have lots of stuff in it. While you're at the office supply store, get dividers so that you can have dividers for, what if sections, for a section that has all of the forms duplicated there so they're easily found, like Colleen mentioned, and they're safe there and they're available for every staff member. They're not necessarily in your own private files. They're there for anybody to use when they need to. Buy a binder, buy dividers. Now, the next question is, how do you number pages? And if you've got divisions within your binder, which would be policies, procedures, accident reports, extra whatever, number them according to the section that they're in. So if you're talking about policies and you get to the point where, what if a customer wants to return something and you don't accept returns, that page might be numbered, for example, Roman numeral 1, which is customer service, page 22. And you'll talk about how to deal with that. When you change your policy on that very point, you will replace Roman numeral 1-22 with a new Roman numeral 1-22. You don't have to rewrite the whole manual. You simply replace that page. And then, as Colleen mentioned, perhaps in the front of the manual, you want a newest updates page, and you'll say, look at section 1, page 22 for new information. So that's real important. Now, also, when you write your manual, not only do you want this, but this can be, of course, flooded, can be fired, can be hurricaned, can be blown away. So you want an electronic copy of everything. Whatever you write, you're going to keep in your computer, on the cloud, on a memory stick. You're going to look up and find all of the manuals for how to operate the fire extinguisher, how to use the vacuum cleaner. You're going to find those. You're going to add that to your electronic copy in addition to your paper copy so that you've got it all in case anything happens. With your actual physical copy, it needs to be neat. It needs to have a font that you can read easily on it. It needs to look professional. You are a professional business. So be sure that you put some thought into how the manual looks. And as Colleen always mentions, make sure that the writing in your manual is friendly, is accessible, promotes the feeling that you want your business to have for its staff. If you're going to be a little Hitler, go off and do something else. If you're going to be a leader, show that you're a leader, that you wish the best for all of your staff. Colleen, you okay?
Yeah, that's so funny. I was just thinking in my head, I was just going to say, like, if you're reading your manual and you sound a little bit like Hitler, you might want to reword those sections and make sure that it's just really positive. The other thing is, throughout your manual, keep your mission statement in thought. So, even if you keep reiterating your mission statement, if it's kind of faded in the background like a watermark, like on the header page of each different section or division, however you divide up your book. But it's really nice for your staff as well as for you to keep in mind your mission statement every step of the way, because everything we do, we have to keep in mind why we're doing it and our purpose. And we don't want to get so full of rules that we forget, why we're in business to begin with, and we forget about serving the customers, and we forget about our higher purpose for, I guess what I'm trying to say is, I've seen where you can get so many rules that it's not fun anymore, and that's not the point. The point is to just have all your procedures so that anyone can step in and take over and run your business. And it's also very helpful if your end game is to ever sell your business. You don't want to be trying to first write an operations manual at the time when you're trying to sell your business. like now is a good time to start writing that operations manual. You should have one anyway, but when the day comes and you're ready to sell your business, there's so much value in that manual when you can just say, you know, boom, here is everything you need to know. And it also prevents owners from getting lots of phone calls on, hey, I can't get this to work, or how did you do that? It's like you can really just turn over your business.
Yeah, that was a big point that I had in my notes, is that an operations manual, while it might seem daunting, is not only going to make you money because your staff is all on the, forgive the pun, same page, but also because when you go to sell your business, that manual, being there, written, observed, used, is literally worth tens of thousands of dollars. Think about it as a buyer. You know, wouldn't you be willing to pay $20,000 or $30,000 more if you have a binder that goes into every little detail? Even if the seller owner has agreed to be accessible, wouldn't you feel much better having this book in hand showing you how you can take that business that you just paid, let's say $100,000 for, and do something with it? Wouldn't that be worth another $30,000 or $40,000 to you? So yeah, you need to do an operations manual. And I promised at the beginning of this video to have a really final tip for you. Before I get into a final tip, Colleen, did we not cover something or anything, or are we overlooking anything?
No, I think we covered it all. So go.
Final tip.
Tip.
Final tip. If you are feeling overwhelmed by this whole thing and thinking, oh my God, Colleen and Kate do not realize how busy I am, how little time I have, what the heck is going on? I have been running my business fine without an operations manual. Well, be assured that yes, you may have been running your business fine, and I'm sure you have been, but wouldn't you like to be running it fantastic? So yes, you do need to have an operations manual. And my overwhelmed tip is start with one page. And on that one page, write 1, 2, 3 things that you think your staff need to keep first most, second most, third most in their minds. Number 1, the customer always comes first. That's a great way to just start your operations manual. A great way to continue on with it is to say, if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right. You know, let's realize that this is our lifetime. This is something we need to do. Get to know your customers. Anything that you want to write on that page will start you on the journey of making an operations manual. And this operations manual is not something that you're going to write in a day or a weekend or a week. It's going to evolve, but start with that one page. The customer is always right. Our mission statement is, we are raising money for. We are doing this whole career, this whole business because 1, 2, and 3. Boil it down to the most important thing that you want your staff to remember at every juncture of every day, whether it is unlocking the door on time, whether it is telling folks that you're going to be closing in 20 minutes, whether it's taking out the garbage or figuring out the computer when it coughs up some strange message for you. Start with the very, very basics of why you're in business, what your staff can do to help the business, to help themselves, to help the consigners, the donors, the customers, the community. Start there and work up. Don't worry about getting it all done, you know, in a day or a week or even a month. Just start.
That's a great final tip. And we have a couple comments here. Katie Hansen says, yes, I don't even know where to start. And then Janie Landry says that she started one a couple years ago. I use Word. As I think of things or issues arise, I open the doc and type it out quickly, which is perfect. It's brilliant. And, you know, another thing to point out where you say just start is you don't even have to like start at the beginning per se. Just just start, and you can just start on different sections. I mean, you're not writing a novel where there's a big plot and everything has to go in order. So, Katie, just start with what's fresh in your mind. Like Kate said, start with, 3 things, and then it will evolve from there. And if you want to work on one chapter or one division of your company at one time, you can write that. And then if something else comes to mind and you jump over to another area of your business, then just write that. But the whole idea is just start, keep it really simple, and it will totally evolve. You're not writing the great American novel. You probably won't win an award for we won't see you on, what's that list? The New York Times bestseller list.
I think you know what I've been doing this past weekend. I've been getting my great American novel together, and it does need to have a plot, and it does need to go somewhere. Believe me, writing an operations manual is a whole heck of a lot easier. Use the verbal notes on your phone if you'd like. If you come across something and say, oh my gosh, I don't think I ever explained to people about the fact that when you're on the phone with somebody and they say, how do I get here from Gehenna? Here's how to get here from Gehenna. I had to switch all those notes up in my store because a competitor moved to the route that I would normally send people on. And so I had to switch up the instructions about how to get to my store from Gehenna so they didn't go past my competitor and think, oh, I'm here. Here's one more time. Let me drive in. So that kind of a thing is something that you would make a note about, whether it's verbally on your phone, whether it's on a piece of paper, a clothespin to your clothes. So just start. It doesn't need to be complete at any one point in life. It just needs to be there. It just needs to be organized. You just need to have sections that you can slip notes into. And you'll be working on this continually, just like you work on training your staffers, just like you work on refining your procedures, just like you work with your staffers about, what do you need to know? It might be a great idea to have an organizational meeting with your staffers saying, we want to get an operations manual together. What should we include in it? And then assign different sections to different people. The guy who does the delivery of your furniture has got a much different viewpoint on what the people in the store should be saying to customers, perhaps, than the girl who cleans out the dressing rooms. So maybe you can use your staffers to help you write that manual, but just do it.
My phone is over there charging, but I just want to say, if you're not a good writer, but if you just think of things throughout the day, there are some really, really awesome dictation apps that you can download on your phone, and you can speak the dictation in them, and then it goes off to a company who will actually type up what you said and then send you the notes, and it is so incredibly affordable. So if you're not, if you're just not a writer, but you can talk about it, use a dictation app, or most phones have a recording. Like I have it came installed on my app where I can think of things and make a recording. You can just make a recording and then use something like Fiverr or Elance or something and just hire someone to transcribe your notes as well. So there's all kinds of ways that even the busiest person can check out an operations manual. So,
I use Temi, Temi, which is 10 cents a minute to do transcribing what I'm talking about, whether it's on my Facebook Live videos or whether it's on my phone and my recording there. And I can talk a blue streak, obviously, about various things, send it off to Temi. They charge me 10 cents a minute. It comes back in 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the most. I've got the raw materials of what I want to say. I go through it, I delete things, I cross out all the ums, and I'm done. I haven't typed a thing. I paid him $1.60 to transcribe 16 minutes worth of my blathering.
Wow, that's awesome. So there are a lot of really affordable tools out there that you can use. So, you know, and again, like your time is money. So if you can find, you know, these great inexpensive tools to use, and I'm sure Kate can type that out. And once my phone is finished charging, I'll tell you the names of the apps that I use, but it will be a really great opportunity to look into that. So any final thoughts, Kate?
Oh, I have lots of final thoughts, but they don't apply, I don't think, to a store operations manual. One thing that I really, really would like you folks to do, in addition to what Colleen will be talking about in a minute, is I'd like you to start to think about what you want us to talk about next week. We've talked a lot about employees. I think we've kind of wrung that dry for the moment. Colleen is going to present a wonderful show tomorrow. So in the meantime, I want you to start thinking about what you would like Colleen and I to talk about, Colleen and me, sorry, to talk about next week. And I want you at 10 o'clock tomorrow, 10 o'clock Eastern, is that? Or 10 o'clock Central?
10 o'clock.
Colleen, advertisement, talk.
Okay, so tomorrow at 10 o'clock Central Time, 11 o'clock Eastern Time, I am going to be interviewing, I'm so honored to be interviewing the ladies of resale. And this is so amazing. I mean, these women are really celebrities. They have been interviewed by Oprah. They have been on the Rachel Ray show. They have, I mean, and those are just two names. Their whole entire TV show was produced by a major celebrity. So I feel really honored when I asked them if I could interview them about their book, and they just were so enthusiastic, and that really speaks volumes about who they are. They're so genuine and enthusiastic about their industry and about people in general, which I think has a lot to do with their success. So tomorrow, 10 a.m. Central Time, join us live right here on Consignment Marketing, and I am going to be giving away some autographed copies of their book. So definitely you're going to want to tune in live, chime in with your questions. This is going to be a great opportunity where you can ask questions about their book, about their business. And we, all three of them, Sue McCarthy, Diana Ford, and Laura Maurice, all of them are going to be here tomorrow with me right here on Consignment Marketing.
What a coup, and something for sure not to be missed. Sue McCarthy and I were on the board of NARTS together 1,000 years ago, back when we were concerned with what color crepe paper we were going to use. So it's been a long, long journey, and Sue has been a valued companion of mine and of many people, of Adele and of Patty and so on. So we're so honored that Colleen, the next generation, realizes how wonderful Sue and her daughters have been to the resale industry.
Excellent. What wonderful words to say, Kate. So I'm honored to do this show with you every week, and I'm honored to have the opportunity to interview these ladies. So tune in tomorrow. That is all that we have today. Do you have anything else, Kate?
No, but tomorrow is October 10, in case you're not watching this live. It'll be Wednesday, October 10. You'll tune in live for Colleen's wonderful show. And then, of course, at 8 o'clock at night, Eastern, also on October 10, Wednesday, October 10, is 10 Minutes with Kate. So you get a double dose of wonderful resale knowledge on October 10th, 2018.
Excellent. Thanks for thanks for adding that in, Kate, because you're right. Someone might see this tomorrow and then think it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow, I love you. Tomorrow, we are going to sign off before I start singing. Goodbye.
Okay. Bye, everyone. Have a fantastic week. I don't know. This is weird.
And now